Hello Year 9, so I'm just going to run through your work for next week, which is Inequalities. This is your first page which you need to complete as you go along and email back to me. So your first lesson is to watch this video and to go through the PowerPoint slides which I'm now going to run through. So this is Inequalities. You'll see the first page. You can have a link to this video. And the first thing we need to do is have a look at the inequality sign, which you've probably seen before. So this is the greater than sign, less than sign, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. Now you sometimes see inequalities on a number line, and they're represented in a similar way. So greater than will point in the same direction as the greater than symbol. And it has an open circle here. And the reason why it's an open circle is because it's any number greater than but not including. So the less than symbol, very similar, but the arrow points the other way. Again, we have an open circle. Now greater than or equal to is a closed circle. I'll explain in a minute on a diagram what this means, but it means that if a number is greater than or equal to 3, it will include the number 3, whereas this one wouldn't. And less than or equal to, again, will point in the direction of the lower numbers, and it has a closed circle. So if there's more ink there, there's more ink there. So let's have a look at this on a number line. If I want to represent this inequality where x is greater than 4, this means that my number, x, is any number bigger than 4. So I'm going to find 4 on the number line, and because it doesn't include 4, I leave it as an open circle, and I have an arrow pointing towards the greater numbers. Here's another example. This one says that x is less than 6. So if this is my number line representing the number for x, I find 6 on it, and it will be an open circle because it doesn't include 6, and it needs to be pointing in the same direction as this symbol here, so it's any number less than 6. Now it doesn't matter how long this arrow is, as long as your circle is above the number here. Here's another one. So you can see this time there is a line underneath the inequality symbol, so it means it includes the number 3. So again, we find the number on the number line, and more ink there, there'll be more ink there. So because it's included, we fill the circle, and then you need an arrow of any length pointing towards the lower numbers. Another example. So again, it includes the negative 2. So more ink there, we're going to have a filled circle, and the arrow points towards the bigger numbers. So here is an unusual example. This reads as -8 is less than or equal to x, but x is less than or equal to 1. So we don't know what the value of x is. We just know it's somewhere between -8 and 1. So I'm going to draw a circle on -8, and I'm going to fill it in because it will include that with that line, and a circle at 1. And because x is between these, we join them up with a line. So here are some inequalities on a number line. If you're asked to name them, you would use the same symbols. So we would call this x is greater than, because the arrow is pointing, look, in the same direction. It's filled in, so we have a line under there, and the circle is on -5. So this one, x, an open circle, so we won't have a line underneath the symbol. The arrow's pointing towards the lower numbers, and so x is less than 7. This one's slightly unusual because we have 2 separate inequalities. So there are 2 separate answers on one line. So the first one is x is less than or equal to -2, or x is greater than and equal to 3. So we write them as two separate ones, whereas this one is included, so we have x in the middle, so we have -4 is less than x and x is less than 2. So you just need to know the difference between the ones with a gap and ones that look like a little weightlifting bar. So this is exactly the same thing. It looks harder, but it really isn't. This is writing inequalities in words. So Anne's age, A, so there's our letter, A, is greater than 22. Write an inequality to represent Anne's age. So really all we've got to do is use symbols to say A is greater than 22. So A greater than 22. And that's as easy as that. So another example, the area of a lawn has to be 50 centimetres squared or less. Write an inequality to represent this. So this looks confusing because you've got 50 centimetres squared, but really we're just looking at the number 50. It says the area of the lawn, now we're not given a letter, we'll call that x, is less than or equal to, because it can be 50 centimetres or less, so it's going to be equal to or less than 50. Sometimes you are asked to list integer values. Now an integer is just a whole number. So all this means is x is somewhere between 1 and 5. So I'm going to write down the numbers between 1 and 5. And if there's no line, we don't want that one. So I remember this as the take me out, no liney, no likey. Boom, boom, get rid of it. So it doesn't include the 5. So my integer values are 1, 2, 3 and 4 because we want x to be anything between 1 and 5 but not including 5. Here's another example. So this time x is between -2 and 3. So if I look at the numbers between -2 and 3, no liney, no likey. So let's get rid of the 3 and get rid of the -2. So my answer is -1, 0, 1 and 2. So there are some practice questions on this slide. You just need to press this button here. Okay, it will come up with a warning, but it's fine. It's entirely safe. Press OK. And you should get the questions come up. That's not showing on this recording, so they would be on there. And then if you want the answers, press this link again, go to there, and it will open the answers. Okay, you saw that brief. Oh, they're the answers. Okay, and here are the questions. So there's different levels of questions. I've recommended which questions you should try depending on your ability, and don't forget to email in a copy of your checklist when you're done.